Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of Christ be with you. As a Catholic priest, people have asked me this question, even through my Facebook page, and even those who have seen me personally, some, especially young people, have asked the same question about what we call nocturnal emission. Uh, some people also call it sex in the dream. Some call it wet dream. But it's just about the same thing. People have asked, Father, is it a sin to have sex in dream? Is it a sin to have wet dream? Is it a sin? And I usually explain why it is not a sin. So I like to mention at this moment some few things, 4 or 5 reasons why we cannot consider nocturnal emission or sex in the dream or wet dream as a sin. For something to be sinful, it has to be a grave action. For something to be a sin, it has to be objectively sinful. It has to be against the love of God. So before I mention the 4 or 5 things that qualify an action to be sinful, let us remember there is a distinction between acts of man and human action. Acts of man are actions that we perform without being in full control of such, just like reflex actions. Our culpability in reflex actions cannot be equal to the actions we perform as human actions. But let's not bother ourselves with this distinction. Now, let's talk about the things that make an action sinful. The first one is that the person who is committing this sin has a full knowledge that this action is sinful. Of course, when you are dreaming or when you are sleeping, you cannot say that you have a full knowledge because of so many reasons. So, for an action to be sinful, the one who is the actor, the one who is performing the act, must have a full knowledge of whatever he or she is doing. Number two, for an action to be sinful, the one who is committing the action, the one who is performing the action, must give a full consent. So you have to give your full consent in order to be culpable for a certain action. Number three, there should be full consciousness. And I'm sure you remember and you know that when you are dreaming, when you are sleeping, you cannot say that you are fully conscious of whatever you are doing. So, when you are having sex in the dream, you are not conscious of what you are doing. The psychologists may call that subconscious mind, but practically, you are not conscious of what you are doing. Number four, there must be full volition, that is, full freedom. You perform the action freely. It's a chosen action, it's an action you chose freely, and you perform that action freely. Of course, when we are sleeping, we are not performing any action freely. We are not aware of the things, we are not fully aware of whatever we are doing. So when we consider these 4 or 5 things, you will see clearly that what we call nocturnal emission or wet dream or sex in the dream is not and should not be considered sinful. Actually, that's the natural way that, our body takes care of the excesses in us. So do not worry yourself about that. For those who have been asking this question, I hope I've been able to address your concern. So for an action to be sinful, it has to, there should be full knowledge, full consent, full consciousness, full volition, that is freedom, and it's an action that you chose freely. Thank you for listening to this reflection, and I hope you find it good to share it. And meanwhile, let me invite you also to please subscribe to this YouTube channel. God bless you and thank you.